Hey, what is up? Zach here, and this morning I have the performance review and playtest of the brand new Balance Fresh Foam LAV V2. Right now I'm still rocking the white socks, red Crocs look. However, in a second I'll have these on feet on the court. I know I still have a ton of questions about these shoes. Number one, does that beefed up heel counter give you more stability considering the more weight that it packs onto the shoe? Number two, does this thing perform any better as a three-piece tongue than it did as a slipper tongue? And number three, does that tread really grip the court really well considering how shallow the tread depth is? Let's find out. So one thing I'm noticing right off the bat is that where this DuraGuard layer is of rubber on the top, it does provide a couple pinch points in your forefoot. They are getting better. It's been maybe about 20-30 minutes. It is starting to break in, but I definitely can still feel those creases. One thing I will say about these shoes, they're one of the best I've tested this year for getting low to balls. That Fresh Foam X in the heel, they actually do get a little bit more of a springboard. I'm not sure how long it's gonna last in terms of durability over the months, but as a new shoe, when you're getting down low for a ball, this has been just as good as the GP Turbo for springing back up. And so even though the shoe is giving me a lot of pop from a low position, most of that pop is coming from the foam in the heel. If you look at the serve test, on average, I was only at 27 centimeters, which again is just pretty average for me. I was thinking I was gonna get a lot of height. However, the foam in the forefoot just does not give you the pop that I was expecting from it from when I was actually playing in a match situation where I was down kind of using more of the foam in the heel. All right, well, besides getting my arm kicked right now, the tread is actually holding up pretty well. I'm gripping the court with some authority, and I'm able to plant pretty well. The sound of these shoes is a little different than some other I've had. I think it's just because of that regenerative pattern on the tread. Now it remains to be seen how well these are gonna do over time. We saw the durability test of these, but as of right now, these things are gripping a hard court just awesome. So even though I missed that ball because I'm slow, old, and fat, the shoe still was pretty fast. It did give me a lot of pop off of that first step. So, which brings me to, if I had to describe this shoe in one word, it would be like a tweener, because it's a little bit heavier than the Nike Vapor Pro, right? It's a little bit more stout, a little more midsole foam, but it's also got a little bit of a heavier feeling. So if you like the Nike Vapor Pro, want more cushioning and just a little bit more under your foot, the LAV V2 is a pretty good pickup. One thing I told you about in the teardown video was how beefy that lateral flange was, how wide it was, and how aggressive it was. As you can see, when I'm trying to return serve or just going side to side on the court, this thing really engages and gives you a ton of stability when you're on one foot or going sideways. It's an awesome addition to this shoe. Well, I think the most interesting showcase of the grip, the stability, and the weight of the shoe comes in the suicide test. It came in about 14.84 seconds, which in and of itself isn't all that big of a deal. It's kind of been my average recently. However, if you see how I'm moving on the court, I'm really throwing myself into the corners. This shoe just grips so well and gives you so much lateral stability that you really can just throw your body around. But the one little thing that I found after the suicide test, which is actually a pretty big deal, is look at how much this shoe is pronating when I'm putting all my body weight on it. This reminds me of the Vapor 10 and the Vapor Pro, how those shoes aren't that great for someone that's a really big overpronator. So if you are an overpronator and want to use the New Balance, make sure you are putting an orthotic in there. And if it's just you really have problems with the overpronation, you might want to look at something else that's just a little bit better and just a little bit more beef under the medial arch. I think the most revealing part about actually play testing these shoes is just how much creasing you get in the midsole after the first use. Remember, this is Fresh Foam X, so it is EVA based. Now it is kind of that laser cut EVA, so you're getting a little bit more pop in certain areas, a little bit more density and less density in others, but that's gonna lend itself to a lot more creasing at the beginning. So that kind of threw me for a loop a little bit because I'm looking down at the shoe and I'm thinking, oh, this thing is, maybe kind of bottoming out. It's not, it's just the look of it. So these shoes are gonna look a little bit worn even after your first use. But the name of the game for the LAV V2 has got to be stability. These are the most stable shoes I've played in this year so far. That's because number one, the broad, wide lateral flange. Number two, really stiff external heel counter. Now, if you are someone that's a super overpronator, you're definitely going to want to put a stiff pair of orthotics in here or just look to another shoe. However, if you're someone that just wants to be able to throw your body weight around and not worry as much about stability, I don't know if it gets much better than these.
You gotta put that on the show. Sorry, man, this song's so hard.
I know. Now, if you want to take a dive into the specs, fit, weight, materials, and of course tear down of this shoe, make sure you click into the video up above and subscribe down below. Respect your rubber and foam. I'll see you in that video. Hello, yeah, GQ tip line? Yeah, no, right. It's just a white sock and a red croc. That's it, right. Game changer. I know.